Okay, I'm going to end this weekend of quite a lot of videos that I've done with this one here, Combat Patrol Issue 6, with a very, very, very cool shot of a Tyranid there. Now, exactly what kind of Tyranid that is, I'm not 100% certain, but it is interesting looking, to say the least. It's quite cool. And then we're going to get onto the Barbgaunts. So gaunts are your basically your frontline Tyranids. You have the Hormagaunts, which are your fast hitting, fast attack Tyranids. They get right up close very quickly. You have your Hormagaunts, which are the kind of, did you have some ranged weapons? I think the weapons aren't amazing. They're really more designed for basically being a shield wall to bigger troops that goes first, shoots along the way, but really they are basically just death. And these things, I've not come across these yet, Barbgaunts, but it looks like, unlike their Hormagaunt cousins, they look like they've got a better quality weapon on them. So, and the whole point about the Tyranids is they're constantly evolving aggressively. So they don't just stay the same for very long. The whole point of the Tyranids is that they go out to a world, they devour everything in sight. They take the genetic codes of what is there and they synthesize it. There's examples of things like the zoanthropes, which are said to be incorporating Eldari DNA. There are things like the Tyrant Guard, which are supposed to incorporate Space Marine DNA. The whole point being about the Tyranids is they change, and they're supposed to change. And, you know, I like that. And it means that if Warhammer 40k is still here 50 years in the future, the Tyranid line might be so different from what it is today. And that's okay. That's how it should be. Anyway, so we get our how to build. We've got our push fit again, so no glue required. Hopefully these push fit together quite well. It helps us understand how to paint these. And then we have some fluff on the Emperor himself, the Emperor of Mankind, beloved by all, who at this point for 10,000 years has basically been on life support. So he died pretty much. He was killed by his son Horus, who rebelled after the Chaos Gods basically convinced Horus that the Emperor was going to try and turn himself into a god by eradicating the other gods. It led to a massive thing called the Horus Heresy, which basically ended with the Horus dead and the Emperor pretty much dead, and at which point they thought, well, gee, wouldn't it be a great idea if we just plugged this guy into a golden throne, kept him on life support forever? And basically that's why they call him the Corpse God from the Chaos Space Marines. There's a lovely picture of him. Isn't he cute? There he is, the Emperor of Mankind. The grim reality being as well that if they just unplugged him, there's a very good chance that that body would die and he would just simply reincarnate. Yes, it's kind of like there's definitely a suggestion that it's actually making things worse, keeping him alive. If he was simply allowed to die, he would come back. you've got to, you know, if you get around to reading the Horus Heresy, it's quite cool, everything that's going on. Yeah. Okay. Then we get a lovely little bit about hive fleets. Look at that. How cool is that? The hive fleets are coming in. Coming in from the depths of another galaxy. I think the nearest galaxy that they've probably come from is potentially the Andromeda galaxy, where based upon the size of the hive fleets that are hitting the Milky Way, there's probably nothing left alive in the Andromeda galaxy other than Tyranids. That is how devastating the hive fleets are. Okay, there is a very good chance that any galaxy that they have left, because there's nothing left to devour other than more Tyranids. So, Hive Fleet Leviathan, our purple and pinky flesh colour ones. Hive Fleet Behemoth, blue and red. And Hive Fleet Kraken, red and fleshy coloured. Let's have a look. Each Hive Fleet has its own, what you might call, flavour, its own, tend to be dominated by particular types. It's worth looking up the different Hive Fleets if you're planning on painting any, because there's a kind of a... Each Hive Fleet has their own approach, and it might inspire you to come up with your own colour scheme or concept. Talks about the Tyrannic War. Now, I can't quite remember when the Tyranids are first seen in the Milky Way. I know that the last bit of like the lore in the book Pharos from the Horus Heresy is that they destroyed a very prominent psychic beacon, and it sent out psychic waves that were 10,000, well, thousands of years later potentially picked up by the Hive Fleet, and of course it's taken them the better part of 10,000 years for their major fleets to hit the Milky Way. It's really cool lore. It's awesome lore. Anyway, within which you've got things like the Battle for Macragge, and then we get info on our Barbgaunts. So I'm really curious. So, explosives. So yeah, these things are actually proper. Like they're an artillery by the look of it, an artillery gaunt, which again it adds a kind of a new terror to the lighter troops of the Tyranids. Okay, what else have we got here? A few more like scenarios, battle scenarios. The Infernus Marines versus the Barbgaunts, basically two specialist weapon squads squaring off against each other. Right then, to say the least, it sounds like these Barbgaunts could give the Primaris Space Marines a run for their money. Right, and there we go. There's just like another thing saying, "Cool, go and buy expensive plastic." Right then. Now, coming up is this here. So it's 10 Termagants in Combat Patrols 7 and 8. Now, I actually have in front of me here, just to give you an idea, that there are Hormagaunts. So that's a Hormagaunt sprue. So in order to get 10, now I don't know whether or not, I'm going to assume that there's 5 per sprue of these guys, sorry. I'm 100% convinced that it's probably going to be 5 per sprue. That will mean that, see, it used to be 4 per sprue, so I'm going to assume it's 5 per sprue, and they've split them into 2 packs, but based upon what it takes to just fit 4 in a sprue, I'm going to take a guess in advance that personally, I don't feel that needed to be too issues. They could have fit that in a single issue. So I'm just kind of putting that bugbear out there right now in preparation for the next time round, that you're probably going to get 2 sets. I can't guarantee it. This is the thing. I don't know how that's going to be laid out. I can't remember what that sprue looks like. But I suspect we're going to get 2 sprues of 5 models, which are then put together like that. That's how I think it's going to go. Okay, let's have a look then at these Barbgaunts and see how different they are. One thing that I noticed right away is that they're actually bigger than a Termagant and a Hormagaunt, and that makes sense because these things are carrying heavier weaponry. So I noticed that unlike their closest cousin, which is going to be the Termagant, they look like they've got like thicker set bodies, particularly at the top. Again, this is me using my knowledge of the Tyranid line. What's it called now? I think it was called the Biovore, which was like a Tyranid heavy artillery. So these look like kind of a combination of a Gaunt and a Biovore, which is what the Tyranids should do. They should genetically combine things. You can see here, Hormagaunts are very thin creatures. If you pull out one of your von Ryan's Leapers and compare it to a Hormagaunt, they have a lot in common with each other. So I like these guys though. So the new Tyranid kits have lovely detail on them. So these are the newer ones. These here are a good. I think they're at least 20 years old. This sprue here, 2000 it's got on it. But if you look at one of the older kits, they still feel like they're the same faction. It's just the quality of the sculpt has gone up. And I absolutely, I love anything new with the Tyranids because, as I said, they need to constantly evolve. Otherwise, they're not doing what the Tyranids should do. So, yeah, we got some nice models on this. I really like this. And the fact that you get 5 of them, again, I like that as well. Because, the Games Workshop could have tried to shrink this down into units of 3 and probably still try and sell it at the same price, but it's not. It's units of 5, and I like that. So, Combat Patrol Issue 6 has got some positive stuff going on in it, and some nice models. So, what we'll do then is I'll end it there because I've been going on for a while now, but thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.